So in this lecture we'll discuss about the single phase fully controlled bridge converter with R load. So in general single phase or three phase full converters are of three types, namely uncontrolled converters, half controlled converters and fully controlled converters. So in the case of uncontrolled converter or simply rectifiers, only diodes are used. Okay, and the level of the DC output voltage cannot be controlled. In the case of half controlled converters, so this half controlled converter is otherwise called as a semi converter. So here a combination of diodes and thyristors will be used, and there is a limited control of voltage is available. That is, voltage can be controlled over a limited period or limited interval. So next, in the case of a fully controlled converter or simply full converter, all the devices used are thyristors, and here there is a wider control over the level of DC output voltages are available. So a semi converter is also a one quadrant converter. That is, the output voltage as well as the current has only one polarity. That is, both will be positive, and hence first quadrant operation is obtained. Whereas in the case of full converter, we can obtain two quadrant operation. That is, the voltage polarity can reverse, whereas the current direction will remain positive due to the presence of these thyristors, and we all know that the thyristors are unidirectional in nature. So we can obtain first and fourth quadrant operation by using full converters. So next we'll discuss the circuit diagram and working principle. So here this full converter is also called as a two pulse converter. It consists of four thyristors. So this is a circuit diagram. So it consists of four thyristors T1, T2, T3 and T4. So these diagonally opposite pairs, that is T1 and T2, are triggered simultaneously and they are commutated simultaneously. And similarly these two pairs T3 and T4 are triggered and commutated simultaneously. So here Vs is the supply voltage, single phase AC supply. Vs is given by Vm sin omega t, and V0 is the load voltage across the load, and I0 is the current flowing through the load. Here load is considered as a resistive load. So next we'll discuss the principle of operation. So that is, during a positive half cycle of the supply voltage, the terminal P. So this terminal P of the supply voltage is considered as positive with respect to N. Okay. So as a result, this thyristor T1 and thyristor T2 are said to be in forward biased condition. So that is, the anode of this thyristor T1 is connected to the terminal P, and similarly cathode of this thyristor is connected to N terminal. So these two will be in forward biased, and so we can trigger these two thyristors anywhere in between 0 and 180 degree. That is, during positive half cycle we can trigger these two thyristors. So let us assume that these two thyristors are triggered at omega t is equal to alpha. Okay, at alpha these two thyristors are triggered. So once these thyristors are triggered, they will start conducting. So these conducting thyristor will act as a closed switch or short circuit. So as a result, the current will start flowing through the circuit. So the current will start flowing from this terminal P. It will flow through this conducting thyristor T1, again through the load R, and through this conducting thyristor T2, and completes its path. Okay. So this is the current flow direction P, T1, R, T2 and N. Okay. So now there is the supply voltage will appear across the load terminal. So the upper terminal of the load is directly connected to the P terminal of the supply voltage through this conducting thyristor T1, and similarly the lower terminal of the load resistance is connected through this thyristor T2 to the N terminal of the supply voltage. So V0 polarity will be plus and minus. Okay. So now at the end of this positive half cycle, that is at omega t is equal to pi. So as we all know, the AC voltage in general will start from omega t is equal to 0 and it will rise and attains its maximum value at omega t is equal to pi by 2 or 90 degree. So after 90 degree, it will start decreasing or diminishing, and at omega t is equal to pi or 180 degree, it will become 0. Okay, so once the voltage becomes 0, the supply current which is flowing through this load will also become 0, because due to the presence of this load resistance, the current will also become 0 immediately. So once the current flowing through this thyristor decreases or reduces below the holding current value, then these thyristors T1 and T2 will get turned off due to natural commutation. Okay, so at omega t is equal to pi or 180 degree, these two thyristors will be turned off due to natural commutation. So this is the circuit operation during positive half cycle. So now we'll see the negative half cycle operation. So now during the negative half cycle, the upper terminal P is considered as negative with respect to this terminal N. So as a result, these two thyristors, that is T3 and T4, will get forward biased. So these two thyristors can be triggered anywhere in between pi and 2 pi. That is during negative half cycle, these two thyristors can be triggered. Okay. So now at omega t is equal to pi plus alpha. So here alpha is considered as the triggering angle or firing angle. So now during this negative half cycle, these two thyristors are triggered at pi plus alpha. Okay, so alpha is the triggering angle. Let us say, for example, if we have triggered T1 and T2 at 30 degree, then we have to trigger these two thyristors T3 and T4 at 180 plus 30. So that is at 210 during negative half cycle. Okay, so once these thyristors are triggered, they will act as a short circuit or closed switch, and hence the current will start flowing through the circuit. So now the current will start flowing from this terminal N through the conducting thyristor T3, through the load, through this conducting thyristor T4, through the terminal P, and completes its path. Okay, so this is the current direction during negative half cycle, that is N, T3, R, T4 and P. So now through the load, it always flows from upper terminal to lower terminal, that is both during positive and negative half cycle, the current direction remains the same. So now if we see the voltage, now this resistance load terminal, upper terminal of the load is directly connected to the N of the supply voltage through this thyristor T3. Okay, so this terminal will be positive, and the lower terminal is directly connected through this conducting thyristor T4 to the terminal P of the supply voltage. So during negative half cycle, this P is considered as a negative terminal. So the voltage also remains the same in polarity during both positive and negative half cycle, that is plus and minus. So the supply voltage will appear across the load. So now at omega t is equal to 2 pi. Okay, at 2 pi what will happen? The supply voltage again reduces to 0. So once the supply voltage becomes 0, the current flowing through the load will also become 0, and hence the thyristors T3 and T4 will get commutated due to natural commutation. Okay, so this is the working principle during negative half cycle. So now we'll discuss the waveform. So this is a waveform for the supply voltage. So as I said earlier, the supply voltage, as we all know, okay, it will start from 0, attains maximum at 90. So after 90, it will start decreasing and attains 0 at 180 degree. So after 180 degree, it increases in the negative direction, attains its maximum value in the negative direction at 270, and after that it will decrease and become 0 at omega t is equal to 2 pi or 360. Okay, so now we are triggering the thyristors T1 and T2 during positive half cycle. Okay, here we are giving a gate pulse to both the thyristors simultaneously at alpha. Okay, so now this shaded portion, okay, this shaded portion of the supply voltage will appear across the load. Okay, from alpha to pi, this portion will appear across the load. Okay, since we are triggering only at omega t is equal to alpha, so from alpha to pi, this voltage will appear across the load. So at omega t is equal to pi, this becomes 0. So the thyristor T1 and T2 will get turned off. So after that, they both will become reverse biased. So now from pi to 2 pi, the thyristors T3 and T4 are forward biased. So we are triggering them at pi plus alpha. So once these thyristors are triggered, then this shaded portion of the voltage will appear across the load. Okay, so for a single waveform, okay, positive and negative half cycle, we are obtaining two pulses at the output, and hence the name two pulse converter. So now we have considered the load as a resistive load, and hence the load current waveform will follow the load voltage waveform. Okay, in between pi to pi plus alpha, no devices are conducting, and hence both V0 and I0 are 0. Okay, so here T1 and T2 are conducting, and here T3 and T4 are conducting. Okay, next we'll derive the voltage and current relationships. So first we'll derive the average load voltage, V0 average. Suppose Vm is the peak value or the maximum value of the supply voltage. The average value can be derived by using the general analytical formula. So V0 average is written as 1 by pi integral alpha to pi. So because during alpha to pi, the supply voltage will appear across the load. Okay, only during alpha to pi. So Vm sin omega t d omega t. So this is an analytical formula for finding out the average value of the load voltage. So now taking Vm outside, so Vm by pi, and integrating the sin omega t. So the integral of sin omega t can be written as minus cos omega t, and over the limits alpha to pi. So now substituting the limits, we can write Vm by pi into upper limit is pi. So minus cos pi, minus of minus will become plus, lower limit cos alpha. Okay, upper limit minus lower limit. Okay, so now we know cos pi is minus 1. So already minus is here. So minus of minus 1 will become plus 1. So Vm by pi into 1 plus cos alpha. This is the V0 average value. So by varying this alpha value, we can vary the V0 value. Okay, so now if we substitute alpha is equal to 0, so we already know cos 0 is 1, so 1 plus 1 will be equal to 2. So we can obtain the maximum value of the output voltage, which will be equal to 2 Vm by pi. Okay, so next we'll derive the average load current. So now this average value of load current can be written as V0 average divided by R. So R is a load resistance. So I0 average can be written as Vm by pi R into 1 plus cos alpha. So next one, RMS load voltage, that is root mean square value. So V0 RMS can be written as under root of 1 by pi integral alpha to pi Vm square sin square omega t d omega t. Okay. So now this sin square omega t can be written as 1 minus cos 2 omega t divided by 2. So already we have Vm square by pi. So the whole thing under root. Okay. So now here we have two different terms. One is 1, another one is minus cos 2 omega t. So now we can split this into two integrals, and so we can write under root of Vm square by 2 pi. This 2 is taken outside, so Vm square by 2 pi integral alpha to pi d omega t first term minus integral alpha to pi cos 2 omega t d omega t. Okay. So now on integration, this will give you omega t. Okay, integral of d omega t is nothing but omega t over the limits alpha to pi. So substituting the limits, we'll get pi minus alpha. So this is written here. Now taking Vm square by 2 outside the root, we can write Vm by root 2 into under root of pi minus alpha by pi. This is the first term, minus integration of this cos 2 omega t will give you sin 2 omega t divided by 2 pi 2, and already we have pi over here over the limits alpha to pi. So now by substituting the limits, we can write sin 2 pi minus sin 2 alpha divided by 2 pi. Okay. So as we all know, sin 2 pi will be 0. So here after substituting the limit, we will be having minus sin 2 alpha divided by 2 pi. Okay. So already we are having minus outside, so minus and minus will become plus. So we can write Vm by root 2 into under root of pi minus alpha by pi plus sine 2 alpha divided by 2 pi. So this is the RMS value of the load voltage. Next we'll derive the RMS value of the load current. So RMS value I naught RMS is given by V naught RMS divided by R. So next one is the form factor. So form factor is the ratio between V naught RMS and V naught average. So already we have derived these two terms. So V naught RMS value is given by Vm by root 2 into under root of pi minus alpha by pi plus sine 2 alpha divided by 2 pi. So whole term divided by Vm by pi into 1 plus cos alpha. This is the average value of the load voltage. So next one, ripple factor. So the ripple factor is given by under root of form factor square minus 1. Okay. So next, power delivered to the load, P naught RMS. So here load is a resistive load. So we can write P naught RMS is equal to I naught RMS square into R.